Welcome to the Double Chins Wagon podcast, where Rae and Lindsey discuss the absurdities of being millennial moms in rural America and the challenges of living authentically. Please leave a review, subscribe, and interact with us by visiting doublechinswagon.com. Now we hope you enjoy the show.
Do you feel well adjusted?
I do. Okay, you need to get down. I'm sorry.
Go be in your own space, Rico.
You have a little bed. You have a blankie. Everything's
Bro, sounds
fine.
like you have a sweet ass setup.
He does. And it's not good enough right now.
Of course not. I lucked out. Both of my girls are being pretty chill this morning.
That's good.
Yeah, one of them is passed out in Liam's office because she has a bed in there and she doesn't like to be by herself. And the other one is at the end of the couch being very quiet right now. So we're going to just hope for that ongoing energy. And I'm not saying their names.
Yeah.
Because they know those. Because they're smart dogs. Yeah. Yeah. So we should just address the elephant in the room.
It's not an elephant. Everyone knows it's here. And I mean, that's the whole thing, right? Hold on. I am still messing with my setup. It's so bright out today.
It is quite nice and sunny out. That is helping.
Because it's bright, it makes this side of my face look weird. Like, stop. See? It's like...
Oh, I see. I'm like shadowed on this side.
If you had a light, it would be even.
I mean, I could also just turn toward the window, but I'm not going to do that.
That's a lot of work.
Sorry, guys. Just, you're stuck with a shadowed face.
They're used to it.
Yeah. I mean, if they're not, they should be. It's either fluorescent or shadowed, guys. That's what I bring to the table. Okay. We're at 20 episodes now. You shouldn't be surprised anymore.
I know. We're getting close to that.
Yeah.
Bro, you're about to get kicked out. Okay. Go ahead.
Couple of fun updates first. I did not go to jail working as an election poll worker. There was no weirdness, which was kind of cool.
0?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was well into the afternoon before we had our first person get like a little bit mouthy about why they were there to vote, but that was it.
And why did they have to get mouthy?
It was a lady who came in with her partner. Like, I assume it was her husband. I don't know. It was a dude. She was just in friendly conversation. And they're like, oh, well, we're glad to see you out voting today, blah, blah, blah. It's been really steady today. You know, just normal conversation. And what she said was, I had to come out and make sure that a hoe didn't get elected. And I was like, we don't talk about candidates in here. And she was like, oh, and then stopped.
Oh,
and that was it.
Gosh.
That's the weirdest thing that happened to me all day. Uncomfortable, yes. But in the scheme of things, nothing. Kathy, who comes in, I told you guys about her last time. Yeah, the one. Nothing. She was super chill all 3 times she came in.
Oh my God.
Super chill.
Well, yay for that. I'm so happy you didn't get arrested.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit disappointed, but in other generic news about election things, we did have a poll watcher, just one, and he was so friendly compared to the last experience that I had with poll watchers, where again, they weren't unfriendly, they weren't combative, they were just a fucking pain in my ass all day.
Yeah, they're obnoxious and kind of pushy, but yeah.
as opposed to this gentleman who was an absolute delight.
Good.
He was very polite, waited till there were lulls to ask questions. After the polls closed, we were able to chat with him a little bit more. He's a pastor who was asked to do this, so he came from out of town, and he had so many nice things to say about us. He's like, I assumed that they were sending me somewhere that they were worried about, because why would they send me to somewhere that runs smoothly? So I don't know why I was here all day. There were no problems here. You know, when you have the same 4 people that work it all the time.
Yeah,
it runs pretty smooth. And he's like, so who do I send this report to? We have no idea, bro. He's like, no, about you guys. Who do I tell here locally that this ran very smoothly and that you guys do a great job? And our city manager was one of the people working that day. He's like, you could just tell me. So it was a really positive experience to come out of this election, was to have a poll watcher in our precinct who did not make us uncomfortable. And by the end of the day, he was genuinely remorseful that he wasn't more active. Because as a poll watcher, they can't do shit. They can't touch anything. Literally, they just sit in the corner and watch. But he's like, it would have probably been more beneficial for me to just be an election worker. Yeah. And you would have gotten paid.
Right?
Again, poll watchers make no sense to me. Be an active participant. That's the best way, because then you are part of it. If you're just a poll watcher, all you can do is make notes and tattletale.
Right.
Because you're literally not changing anything that day. Nothing. 0% things are going to change. You're going to write it in a report and be like, someone was a bitch. Nobody fucking cares, bro. Also, for being a pastor, he also was super polite about all of my slight sexual innuendos every time I said poll worker. Yeah, he was very funny. I did curse out loud once after polls had closed. I was real agitated about a thing. You guys know I'm a fucking potty mouth. Like, I say so many swear words, but when I'm working, I am a professional person. And so I hadn't said any swear words all day, and I dropped a giant F-bomb when we were talking about this particular thing. And he was like, whoa, buddy. It was like the first time he looked sideways at any of us.
Yeah.
We all laughed about it afterwards. So I didn't go to jail. We had a very polite poll worker. That's all the good news I have to offer about that.
Good.
That's it. Are you reading my mug today?
Yeah.
I was born to ride a unicorn.
I was wondering if there was going to be some sort of intentional message on it, but
I actually don't have any of those. They're mostly perverted or about unicorns. The first mug I actually pulled out is one that I got for Liam for Father's Day that said, thanks for not hitting it and quitting it.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's one of his favorites. That and the Pinkie Pie one. Liam is a brony. So he loves
are you serious?
Pinkie Pie. I'm so serious. He loves Pinkie Pie. We just got a batch of pins in to the shop. I like to go through them because I just bulk order them. And so I like to go through them whenever they come in. And this set had the most demented Pinkie Pie I had ever seen. And I immediately put it in my pocket and gave it to Liam. It made my heart really happy.
The fact that he is a brony, it's so interesting.
Well, like,
I would never guess.
Yeah. He is a significant number. Well, a not insignificant number of Pinkie Pie things.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
you're
sorry,
sad.
I keep getting, yeah, I just keep distracting myself with other things in life. But yeah, Wednesday was not a great day for anybody, I don't think. And some people just don't realize that it wasn't a great day yet. I think is really what this is going to come down to.
Yeah. Some people maybe thought falsely that it was good.
Yeah.
But out of not having the right information.
Yeah. I really, it's a very sad state that we are in, where such a I feel like a lot of people were bamboozled.
Yeah.
And we should be past that age. So this week I'm reading James by Percival Everett, and it caused me to like cry over a dumb thing yesterday. So James is Huckleberry Finn told from the perspective of Jim the slave. Okay. It's very good. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I enjoyed Percival Everett as an author even before this. And so when they get to the scene, and this is also in Huck Finn, so they get to the scene where they're with the king and the prince who are swindling the townsfolk, and they get pissed off. And I thought to myself, that's what just happened to all of us this week. Like,
yeah.
And the worst part is the king and the prince catch back up to him, and they're still like, nah, we're in charge now. And so, yeah, that brought a tear to my eye yesterday when I was thinking about how many people that's going to happen to over the next, several months, over the next year, as this really starts to like set in.
Yeah.
All the things that are not going to be great. And I want to preface my next statement with, I recognize that I, in the last 7 days, have kept myself in a bubble. I very much have insulated myself with the things that I want to consume. Okay. So I know that I'm going to obviously have a little bit of bias in what I say. But reading threads on Reddit and seeing the TikToks of people that are putting these stories together, like just in the past few days, people have realized how fucking dumb this is. How aggressively they just took action against themselves. The fact that I can still come across a story somewhere on Reddit where someone is like, I just met a person who still doesn't know that Obamacare and ACA are the same thing. How? How do you not know that? Do you literally live under a rock?
Right.
Because we're too far into that for people to not know.
Well,
and so that just blows my fucking mind. In one of my biggest, I can't even say that. I honestly couldn't even rank my concerns, my fears right now. I could not consciously put them in an order of importance. But on the list is education.
Yeah.
Guys, we're just gonna keep getting fucking dumber.
And and what you talked about just now with the bubble that you created for yourself, that is what has led to a lot of people only getting the information that they choose to get.
Yes.
Based on what they like, what they want to hear, because of this information age that we live in and the way algorithms work. And
it's too easy
to just be in your little tiny bubble and not have to consider other viewpoints
Yeah.
Or, for example, the person that doesn't know the difference between the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare clearly probably they've always had some plan through their employer, so never had to deal with it, and is ignorant because they haven't had to deal with it.
Push.
And I mean, I've been out and about in the world, you too, and you must have still been able to maintain your little safety bubble even when you were traveling this past weekend. And I did and didn't, because I was staying with my parents, who most assuredly, at least one half of them voted for our reelected president, which is hard to say. So I've been doing a lot of reflecting since yesterday, mainly because before I was leaving my house, and I never asked my mom. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know who she voted for, because I don't want to have any ill feelings toward her.
Yeah, because you don't want to be mad at her for hating herself and you.
Right, exactly. And so, because we kind of got into it, and it was more so over kind of another topic, but not really. So we were discussing sources of information, essentially, and how, for example, I have to bring it up, but the carnivore diet. In our personal conversations, this has come up quite a bit.
Like paleo.
Yeah, but carnivore is straight up just meat, animal fat, eggs, nothing else. So
Don't need a vegetable in there, bros.
no vegetables, nothing. And so
Pooping must be so smelly and hard.
Yeah, and guess what happens? You get hemorrhoids for the first time in your life, turns out.
Ugh.
If you decide to just fill your stomach with meat and butter and cheese and...
I do love cheese.
I mean, yeah, but a vegetable or two is probably not a bad idea. Not to mention all the nutrients that you're not getting from those other things, right? So my dad has been following this diet. He lost some weight. And one of the things that happens early on in the diet is your body goes into ketosis or whatever. You hear people talking about that all the time. And it's this magic thing that happens where, because you've kind of taken out all sugars, carbs, all of that stuff, your inflammation essentially disappears. Then people start to feel really good. And yeah, they rapidly lose weight. But the long-term effect of it is that you're going to have major blood pressure, cholesterol issues, obviously, which leads to heart disease, and your kidney can't keep up with processing that much fat. So there's a lot of studies that point to how these outcomes are probably not favorable. Doctors do not recommend this diet. But then there's a whole bunch of misinformed people on YouTube who have conspiracies about how big pharma and doctors are trying to tell us not to do this. But look at what it did to me. Look at how great my life is. I healed this problem that I've had forever, blah, 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 blah. I want to talk to them in 10 years and see how it's going then. You know what I mean? So anyway, all of that to say, my dad is who he is. He jumps on fads, and that's that. He has tried to shove it down my throat more than one occasion. Basically, anytime I see him, there's some format of him trying to talk to me about it. And it happened again this past time when I've already had a discussion with him that I'm not interested. So I've blatantly told him, I appreciate that you're concerned that I need to lose weight, but I'm not going to do it that way. So thank you, but no thanks. He still started watching a YouTube video of a very young couple talking about how after having twins, the woman didn't have postpartum depression, and how it was because of this diet. Or you got fucking lucky. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen to you. So, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. So, anyway, I made a passing statement to my mom in the kitchen as I was walking out of the room, because I was like, I'm not watching this. And later, she was like, I'm not going to get mad at things that he wants to watch. That's his thing and whatever. And I'm like, that's fine, because you have to live here and, you do you. It's whatever. But the reason why it makes me upset is because the information, or the source of information, are a bunch of people that aren't qualified to give any sort of medical advice or dietary advice or nutritional advice. And they are associating whatever they want that's positive in their life to the outcome of this diet, when there's so many circumstances that could say otherwise. And the fact that he's basing his opinion on these types of videos is a little troubling. I'm worried about his health. I don't want him to have health problems, but I know I can't have that conversation with him because it's not going to go well. And she said to me, well, you can believe that and he can believe, whatever, and you don't have to get all worked up about it. And I was like, if we were talking about God right now, I would say I agree with you. But we're not. We're talking about science and things that people know facts about. And the fact that he's choosing to not believe it is a lot of the problem. And I told her that's the thing that plagues our country right now, is that people are choosing what is reality and what isn't for themselves. And all of that to kind of be summarized, most of those choices, when we're not willing to accept fact based on, I don't know, studies, scientific evidence, whatever, data, it's coming from a lens of fear, obviously, and division, us versus them. And that's how we got here. The Great Divide started. I mean, we know it started back, I guess, when Obama was in office, which is hard to think about.
Yeah. That feels like a lifetime ago.
I know, and now that seems like it was such a dream, but
Yeah.
it started back then, historically speaking. And another thing that I've been working on just personally with I have a life coach now, is essentially healing my central nervous system. And it got me thinking about the fact that as a society, probably all of humanity for the most part, depending, there's probably a few pockets of the world where this is not true. But most of modern civilization has been in fight or flight response, generally speaking, for a very long time at this point.
I know as millennials, that is our default.
Yeah. And so when you're in that state, you allow bad things to happen to you. You become fearful. And I've noticed it in myself only since it was kind of brought to my attention that it's a thing to be aware of. But once your system has kind of gotten used to being in this fight or flight phase, you exhaust yourself and you go into being immobilized. And that's the dorsal vagal phase of your nervous system functioning, where you just shut down because there's nothing left to give. And I've been living between those two existences for a long time. But yeah, as a whole, I feel like humanity can relate. We have all been just like, what the fuck, for a really long time. And it's just leading to so much division. Something that gave me hope recently, not that you're looking for it, but if you think back to major movements of love, for example, the hippies, and there have been a lot of other examples throughout history, they've all happened after times of great division and upset. And that's really the only answer at this point, is that there's going to be some sort of uprising of love and compassion. And the stars have predicted that we are due for a revolution. So I'm hoping that that's what it is.
As you say that, I am reminded of a thing that was told to me on Wednesday in a group chat. I called out two people in particular and said, "You guys are two of the smartest political people I know. I need one of you to offer me something to get me through the day, something of substance and meaning that will slow my spiral, please." And I got a response back from both of those people. One of those people is a geriatric millennial.
So me, like in my age bracket. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of them is just like straight up Gen X. Like,
Okay.
okay. So from my geriatric millennial, this is what I got. Dems still control the governor's mansion, state senate, and state supreme court here in Michigan, which will provide some defense for us around a lot of issues. It appears that because of the education divide, Dems are probably in a better position in midterms moving forward. Also, American politics tend to be thermostatic. Moving too far in one direction leads to a reaction in the other direction. So there will be a pushback against the GOP in 26 and in 28. My Gen X in this conversation. This is a direct quote.
Okay.
We survived the first term.
I guess one way to look at it is it's only going to be 4 years. But
so much can happen in 4 years.
I know.
So I called out a different person in this text chain. It says, "You are literally just the smartest person I know." So I was like, tell me a time in history where this happened and everything was okay in the end. Anything, guys, literally anything. And he replied back with, "When the economy crashed under Hoover, it eventually led to a gradual improvement in a host of areas favorable to individuals. Eventually." And then one person in the group, I'll show it on the screen, but it's just SpongeBob and it says drugs.
Yes. Which goes along with this love movement that we're heading into. Drugs match that they can go well together. Drugs and love.
So in the aftermath on Wednesday, and the two people that gave me that information, both of them have doctorates. I feel like I can trust what they told me and it did slow my spiral for like maybe half a point. I don't know.
I was like, what measurement are we here?
I don't know. I was also trying to decide what measurement I was going to use. Like it did remind me that yes, we did do this before. And usually when I say that, my like follow up to that is like, did you die? The answer is yes, though. Like a lot of people did. It was not good leadership, and it did actually take lives. Like, so yes, people did die, which is not a great outcome.
No.
Did everybody die? No, I guess not. But it wasn't great.
Right.
There was 0% parts that were comforting. So yeah, that's miserable. So yeah, I know we talked about this on, was it Thursday? I think you checked in. We should record today. And I was just, the whole world can fucking burn. I don't give a shit. And then you reminded me we're supposed to be authentic. So while this is the tempered version of how I felt last week, I will not be hiding. I've got a friend who still hasn't left her house.
I bet.
And every day my heart breaks for her. Because that fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah.
I can't even be like, suck it up. No, because I want to do the same thing. My daughter is genuinely mad at me because I did not pack our things and leave the country on Wednesday. Wednesday was just such a sad day. That afternoon, my daughter and two of her girlfriends, they're all in the play together, which, by the way, is Radium Girls. Let's talk about how we fucking hate women again. Still.
Yeah, still.
And before we left for rehearsal, I wrapped my arms around them, and I'm sure that made them very uncomfortable. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm genuinely so sorry that this is what our nation thinks of us.
Mm-hmm.
This is embarrassing. And then I did what I do, and I tried to make a joke out of it. And I was like, but don't worry, babes, I'm gonna find us the most comfortable shoes and the warmest gloves, because we're gonna be outside a lot this year.
Lots of marches.
That we're not gonna go quietly.
No.
So I'm gonna just do my best to make sure that we're comfortable while we do that.
Yeah.
I'm buying you all mace. And I think my favorite trend that's come back on the TikToks right now that I'm fucking loving, we're all going back to wearing hats with long hat pins to keep them stuck on our buns that are under the hats so we can fucking stab the shit out of guys who get too close.
Nice.
Yeah. You should look that for anybody who's missing it right now. Go on the TikToks, put in hat pins, lady hat pins. There's a bunch of fun songs about it.
Nice.
They're so sharp.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
So like they're meant to keep your hat attached to your hair. Like I don't know if you guys are familiar, men, with the old hats, you put your hair on the top of your head like this. I say this like any men listen to this.
Right.
You put it on the top of your head and you put your hat on and you stick pins through it so that your hat doesn't fly away. That's literally the point of a hat pin. That's it. To keep it on your head.
Stabbing dudes in the dick and the eyes.
Yes. And now it's come back around to being multi-purpose. Yeah. Before it was just, for a little while, it got to just be decorative. Now, guys, this is pockets all over again. They're going to try and take our pockets away again. Watch out, ladies. Don't let them take your pockets.
All the while, men have had pocket knives that they carry around with them. So
we had to hide our knives, and you wouldn't let us have pockets.
Right.
We found a fucking way around, boys. How have you not learned? I don't get it. How have they not figured this out yet? They're very stupid.
Yeah, they are. One reason why they should not be in charge of I'm not going to say greatest nation because I don't believe that we are.
Stretch right now.
And I'm sorry if that's unpatriotic of me or not patriotic. However,
unpatriotic is the right phrasing.
Yeah, but I think we've sucked really bad for a long time. And I haven't been proud to be an American for a very long time. I am proud of certain histories and certain cultural aspects and those types of things. But generally speaking, our daily behavior in the world, not much to be proud of.
It is appalling. Yeah, I don't disagree. Like we definitely can be doing better, and we should be doing better. This is a wild experience for me because Lindsey, you and I both come from organizations that are just tiny versions of this.
Yep.
Like when you have all of the resources you need to be successful and you misuse them.
Yep.
for any misguided reason. And oftentimes it is for vanity. Oftentimes it's because someone wants their name in lights. And so as the American people, we have all of the resources we need to be successful, and to be equitable and to have a thriving nation that should be an example.
Yeah.
Because we are young. And I think that this is a thing that gets lost often. Our nation is very young.
Yep.
And we have so many examples that came before us, so many ways that we could have learned. And yet here we are acting like insolent fucking teenagers. It is embarrassing.
Yeah.
We don't have to act like this.
No.
Why? Why are we doing this? We have the resources, we have the knowledge, all the things we need exist for our consumption, for us to make the best choices. And we don't.
Yeah. Because we're unwell, generally speaking.
It is sad, pandas.
And one thing that I heard recently was some sort of quote that I'm going to butcher, and I can't remember who said it, but it was some Buddhist. I know that. Everyone needs to be Buddhist, by the way, because let me tell you, the world would be fucking amazing if we were all Buddhists. That's all I'm saying. Basically, a problem cannot be solved with the same mind that caused it. And our mindset has not changed in this country. It's always been driven by, I hate to say it, but greed and money.
I mean, that's like a human problem.
Oh, absolutely. But
Yeah.
we have let that be everything that our society is built on and functions on. And obviously, money is important. But when you start to neglect humanity as a result, which has been the case for, I don't know, at least a couple hundred years at this point, because at first they probably had the right idea, maybe. No, actually they didn't, because they were not very kind to those who were already here, right?
Yeah. I think a fair assessment is they didn't have the wrong idea.
Right. Maybe they just went about things
Yeah.
in a fearful way, right? They were reacting in fear by what they were met with, which was this population of people that they didn't understand. And they felt for some reason they deserved their property. So, all of this to say that maybe it's safe to say that we're in crisis mode at this point. I think we have been for a long time.
We thought we were in crisis mode, but now we're actually in crisis mode.
Yeah.
That apparently was just a yellow light. We're full on red now.
Yeah. And it's blinking rapidly. The other night I was at a bar that for some reason had little lights on the table, cute little mood lights, and if you touch it, it'll change colors.
I mean, that sounds super fun for a bar table.
Yeah, because you can set the mood for whatever is going on in your little group of friends. So we were playing with it, and there was a function where it was a red flashing light, and I was like, this seems appropriate.
This is the only setting that any of these lights should be on. Every red flashing light in the world needs to be turned on right now.
So if you think about in times of crisis, and a recent example would be, say, all the hurricane stuff that's been happening down south, when humans are experiencing something terrible, devastation, communities are completely washed out, for example, in North Carolina. I heard a story about a guy standing on a bridge right after their town had majorly flooded, and he was just kind of taking it in and trying to, I don't know, figure out what to do next, basically. And a person pulled up with a bunch of MAGA stickers on their car. And the day before, they probably would not have engaged in conversation or done anything to try to be friends, right? But standing there on that bridge together, knowing damn well that they were on opposite sides of the political spectrum, it didn't matter because they were both in crisis and
Both in peril. Yeah.
they lost a lot and they were both there just taking it in and they hugged each other. Why can't we just remember that we're all human beings? We are all suffering the same way through this life and we're all seeking happiness and joy. That is our universal mission. We want to be happy. There is suffering and you can't escape it. Why make other people suffer more through policy or out of fear? Just let people be happy.
One of my genuinely favorite things about my husband.
Why is that so hard to get out?
I say nice things about him all the time. And I do truly appreciate my husband. Sometimes he's a giant idiot. But in this scenario, one of the things that he that I learned about him early on was that people have an aversion to change.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest part of that aversion is admitting that they were wrong.
Yep.
And that it needs to be different. People know how to change. We do it all the time. And it's actually not that hard. It's changing your mindset. It's admitting that how it was being done wasn't right. And it doesn't matter how long you believed that it was right. You now have to admit that you were wrong. And that's the hardest part. And we have fostered a social mentality as of late that you don't have to be wrong. Just find your bubble where you're right
Yeah.
and live there. And so it's gonna get even harder for people to admit that they were wrong. Like I learned this about him, and he taught me this at a really pivotal point in our lives, probably 13, 14 years ago. And like we had talked about this concept before then, but when we had my little brother come live with us, I was absolutely ready to just cut my parents. If you guys cannot see that this is not about you, then I don't need that energy. And Liam helped me to remember that that's a really big deal for them, that their kid wasn't going to their house, but was coming to ours. And so they just had to reckon with that. You would have to imagine I was doing something wrong and I have to change what I'm doing because that wasn't working. But two of us were successful out on our own, taking care of ourselves. And so I suspect that that was really difficult for them, and that that mentality really helped me to have grace for my parents, for my family in general. And I have found myself in recent days thinking back on that as I look at this going forward. And I think that that's the biggest challenge that we're going to face in the foreseeable future is we have to have grace with people who are about to realize how wrong they were. And it's not personal.
Right.
We already tried it that way, guys. We literally already know that that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And we're about to see how fucking bad it is, how much it doesn't work.
Let's double down on it. Yay.
I keep thinking to myself, no, this is very hard. They've spent the last decade thinking that this was good and this was right and this was positive. And now they're going to get a dose about how it's not. And that we can be successful doing it a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody can be happy. Everybody can be a winner.
Yeah.
If we change what we're doing, but that means they have to admit that they were doing it wrong.
Right.
Or that how they were doing it wasn't right. Not even that it was wrong, that it just wasn't right.
Right.
Have not asked any of my parents how they voted, nor do I intend to. Probably for the same reasons as you, Lindsay. Like, I don't want to be mad. I don't want to think that they don't care about me as a human person. I don't want to think like I've got 2 queer kids.
Yeah.
Like, they're voting against the health and safety of their grandchildren. Both of them only have Atticus is the only boy. They have all girls. It's all girls for them. I don't want to think that they hate us.
Yeah.
And I am right now, the only strategy I have for that is bliss. Ignorance is bliss.
Well, and it's interesting because if you ask maybe a family member that you know voted for Donald Trump.
I could probably tell you the people who did.
Right.
In my family. Like,
but if you ask them, that tells me that you don't respect or that you hate us because of XYZ. They have a different viewpoint. They don't think that it was hate fueled. They were doing what they thought is best for their pocketbooks, essentially, right? Which is
wild.
Interesting, but whatever. Not surprising.
I don't know if you guys know this. Liam and I actually had to do a quick analysis. This tariff situation, that's gonna fucking suck for us.
Yeah.
One of our best sellers is an import.
Oh.
There are lots of printers domestically. So book-wise, I'm not terribly concerned about the book sitch. All of our games, they're all going to get more expensive. Half of my stock.
There's so much made overseas, especially in China. And yeah, it's not good. And the whole inflation, that's a whole nother discussion that we can probably dive into next time for the sake of time. But
we clearly have created our own self-fulfilling prophecies. Like, you guys, I don't know if you guys know this, like, politics definitely influences economy. Rarely does the actual literal president influence economy. And we've now let that be the case. Like, we're making that real now. We gotta stop that, guys.
But
we gotta slow our roll there.
But only to a certain extent. Because yes, tariffs will have a direct impact while he's in office, for sure. And there are other random things that can lead to an increase in overall cost of things, interest rates, all the things. However, it is such a ripple effect from so many different places, and rarely is the majority of that the White House, that the fact that we are electing someone based on an opinion that the bad economy right now is because of Biden, it's actually an effect of our last president that we just gave the key back to. But whatever.
While we have seen growth and improvement over the last 2 years, that's because that's how long it takes.
It takes a long fucking time for any of this stuff to sort out, especially after a pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to suck after a pandemic. And that was Biden's fault? No, it's not. That's not how it works.
I do have so much anxiety. Like, I I just have anxiety in general, guys. We all know this. It's fine. But like every day it cycles through what I'm most concerned about. Right now it's groceries. We already don't get great produce in our area. In addition to that, I feel like we pay a lot for produce.
Yep.
It's going to get worse. And I have a black thumb. So every time I see someone, let's plant gardens in our front yards, I'd fucking love to. If someone wants to use my side yard, I have a nice little spot over there. It gets good sun. Fucking plant away. I cannot touch it. They'll die immediately. Guys, like, do not ask me to maintain that. I will gladly let anybody garden, farm there. I'm so excited for you.
But
I can't.
Planter beware. There are wolves on Rae's property. So keep an eye out.
There are actually a lot of bunnies around here.
That's true.
Because Forrest died, so he hasn't been culling the bunnies. Guys, my cat used to handle the rabbit population on our block, and he passed last winter. And so this spring, they all made it. I bet they don't even know what to do with themselves. They're probably like, guys, there are too many of you. Why did all of them survive? Where is that cat?
This is not what we were expecting.
So there's that. Also, an opossum lives under my back porch, and I refuse to make it leave because it's adorable and I love it. It also got rid of the skunk. There was a skunk there before, and the opossum, I think, scared it off. I'm not sure. But also, opossums are better because they can't get rabies.
That's good. And they're fucking ugly.
When I try and catch it and it bites me, I'm at least not going to get rabies because I will at some point try to catch it. I'm just going to warn you now. I'm surprised we have one. My house is smack in the middle of town. No joke. Right in the middle of town.
Grayling is also in the middle of, I don't know, a national forest.
That is also true. So this little cutie patootie actually showed up midsummer. We saw it on our porch. And
on the porch?
Yeah.
It came up?
Yeah. I thought I sent you. Okay, I thought I sent you a video about this because I was so excited about it.
Ooh, is it from the camera?
No, it's from my camera. He was too close to the door. The camera didn't even catch him. That's probably not true. If I looked at other parts of he's probably on there for sure. But
you need to make a little movie with all the footage.
I'll try to do that. I'll try and teach myself that skill while I'm distracting myself from all the other dumb shit that I'm using to distract myself. Like,
very important work.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Lord's work.
I am doing the Lord's work. Out here serving my people. Tasha was over and calling him to pick her up. And so he's waiting in my driveway and sees this possum approach the porch. And so when Tosh gets in the car, he's like, oh, did you tell Rae? Blah, blah, blah. And so they call. And so I immediately go to the front door. So I see it through the glass of the front one. And I open it so the glass is still there. And it was literally right up next to it.
Oh, wow.
Sis had followed me in there. So I get my camera out and she's like, Mom, we got to catch it, right? I was like, bitch, yes. Absolutely, we're going to catch it. And we hear Liam from the back being like, do not touch it. He's just yelling at us from across the house.
Even know? Did you scream?
Cullen told us in a group chat.
Oh, okay.
And then Clyde and I both immediately ran to the door. He knew exactly what was happening. So I'm trying to open the door real quiet and Sharon is replying, they can't get rabies. It's totally fine. And I was like, yes.
Game on. Awesome, game on.
So I didn't catch it because Liam literally came in and was like, shut the fucking door, babe. You're not bringing that thing inside. I was like, you're the worst and I hate you. So we've seen it a couple of times and now it lives under the porch in the back. There used to be a skunk there. And I don't know when the skunk left, I'll be honest. But now it's this opossum and I love him.
I wonder how they make these choices. Well, I think I need a better porch to hang out under.
I suspect the skunk left because the dogs didn't like it. The dogs would bark at it all the time.
Oh, so it's like you don't want loud neighbors. That's annoying. Yeah, I get it.
They don't do that with the little buddy who's under our porch now.
That's interesting.
I think they've made friends because they're not getting sprayed by a skunk.
Yeah.
I mean, the skunk is bad at making friends. Did they get
sprayed?
The dogs did not get sprayed. It did spray under the porch ones.
Ugh,
it was really smelly for several days.
Yeah. Speaking of new pets, because you're going to have a new possum eventually.
Yeah. I mean,
inside the house. Totally reasonable.
It's an opossum.
In
North America, we have opossums.
I know. I have a hard time saying that. I don't know why.
Okay. It's because societally we normalize just calling them possums.
I know. Okay, opossum.
And this is a dumb thing, right, that I learned in the summer from Crisis. This is why I know this, and now it's stuck in my brain forever. This will never not be in my brain.
I'm just gonna remind myself via thinking that it's an Irish possum.
I like it.
Okay.
He carries around a Guinness. Does that help? And he smells like cabbage. So,
I mean, that's probably accurate. Who
now
knows
I'm gonna go
what
buy
they
him a
smell
cabbage.
Like? Their weird little fur. I wonder if it's soft or like coarse.
That's Have you ever touched really one? Good. No.
Gotta get your hands on your little friend
Calliope
there.
Carved him into a pumpkin for Halloween.
Oh,
she did so good.
Speaking of new pets, I was on the verge of getting a new pet because my husband, who decided, and this part of the story is purely for listeners, all 15 of you or whatever. My husband decided to drive across the Upper Peninsula of Michigan to our neighbors to the west, one of them, Wisconsin, to see the Green Bay Packers play the Detroit Lions. And for some reason, he sent me a message saying, I get the feeling that if I see a sign that says Chihuahua puppies, that I'm going to come home with one. And I'm like, mind you,
sold.
I know. The day that we decided that we were going to get a Chihuahua was after Kayla's wedding in Sault Ste. Marie, which is also the Upper Peninsula. So I wonder what it is about up there that inspires him to have more Chihuahuas, but I like it.
That's when therapist Rae got her marriage certificate license therapy person.
And look how far we've come. Things are good.
You know what? That's fair.
You helped. In a lot of ways.
Did I?
Probably. I don't know. All the help is good help. So, unfortunately, he did not see a sign. But I thought, well, if he thought that there was a risk that he would have to stop and like go get a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
That's like when I was a kid and my tickle grandpa, the one with no legs. Anytime we were driving on a long road trip and it got to a certain time of the day, and if we happened to drive by a Dairy Queen, he'd be like, oh no, the van's turning. I can't control it. And we'd have to go get ice cream. And so I thought maybe this is that for Trevor. So I started sending him pictures of puppies that I see online. And he's like, that puppy looks cute right where it is. And I'm like, so what happened to UP, Trevor? What happened?
Sometimes Liam does this to me. He'll send me a listing on like Adopt a Pet and be like, oh, it's so cute. And I'm like, it's so cute. Let's go pick him up. And he's like, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, the fuck?
Like, why are you playing with my emotions?
When I send it to him, very clearly means I want this dog. And then he can reply back like, no. So when he sends it to me, I assume it's the same thing. You want this dog? Yeah, let's do it. Who am I to tell you no? Unlike him, he tells me no all the fucking time. So often.
It must be hard being the voice of reason in a relationship.
It must be.
I don't know what that's like.
I sometimes pretend like I'm the voice of reason.
Every once in a while, I think you are.
Every now and again, I get to be the adultier adult.
There are moments that it has to go back and forth. There's
I
a balance.
appreciate that not being my starring role though, because I don't think I would do a good job.
You would not excel. Yeah.
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so a couple of other things. Ypsilanti, I love that city. It is such a strange little city. Ypsilanti, Michigan, for those who might not be familiar,
It
is
sounds super pretentious, but it's kind of ghetto.
absolutely, yeah. So it is right smack dab next to Ann Arbor, which is a better known place thanks to University of Michigan. Most people that aren't from Michigan or not from Southeast Michigan lump it into the Metro Detroit area, but it's too far, in my opinion, to be considered that.
Those are not the same.
Yeah, it's not, but some people think it is, and I'm like, you're wrong.
They don't know how to read a map.
Yeah, I mean, it is in the southeast portion of the state if you were to divide it into like 4 for the Lower Peninsula.
I feel like that's like saying we're part of Traverse City. No.
Exactly. Most people would probably just say that also sometimes, so whatever. I lived there and went to grad school there and made my group of grad school besties friends there. And I had my little makeup birthday party on Sunday. And there's something about being there that just like fills my soul. It is such an eccentric place. It has changed quite a bit since I last lived there, which was over 8 years at this point. In a negative way for sure, as far
That's probably the last time I was there. It's been at least 6 years since I was there.
Yeah, downtown proper, because there's actually 3 business corridors. There's downtown, and then there's Depot Town, and then there's the strip of businesses near Eastern Michigan University, which is, yeah, the ugly red-headed stepchild of University of Michigan, according to most. But a fine school in its own right. It used to be the normal college where all the people went to get their teacher degrees. So, way back in the day. So anyway, the downtown is looking rough. Lots of vacancies. A lot of very well-known, long-lasting businesses have closed, but it's still
Unicorn Supply Store closed. They weren't there that long. Unicorn Supply Store.
Oh, God. That's sad.
Yeah, tell me about it, bro.
Yeah, there's always been a good amount of unstable folks walking around Ypsilanti. It's just kind of part of the vibe. There's also like a good amount.
Austin.
Yeah, there's a good amount of them in Ann Arbor also, but most of the time you're distracted by all the college students and you don't notice them as much. In Ypsi, there's nothing to be distracted by. So you're like, oh shit, this place is a little iffy.
But with a name like Ypsilanti, it sounds like it should be so fancy.
I know. And it's a Greek word. You like those.
I do like
those names. Named after some sort of Greek soldier of some sort. Also, if you're Googling, home of the Michigan famous anyway, Brick Dick, because there's a water tower. It's a historic water tower that legitimately looks like a giant penis. So look it up for those who are interested in that. I got to go to the top of it one time. It was a lot of fun.
Quick side story. My mom and my husband used to work together for this company called ICG, which has been through like a whole bunch of iterations, not important, but in front of like their like corporate office, and you can look this up because the building's still there and the statue is still there. There's a very phallic looking statue. So like when you come at it from like it's just like flat and up. And so then when you look at it from another direction, it's got the sides that come up, but the inside is very much a vagine. They hired an artist to make this sculpture for them. And the guy is like, all right, cool. And then gave them a dick with a vagina in it.
Like,
it's so beautiful. It is actually like very well constructed. Like it looks nice. It is art for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a giant dick with a pussy in the middle.
Were they just like sculpt something and we'll put it out here, or were there guidelines?
I guess. I don't know. This is
so fun.
Okay. I was like 22. Nah, they put it up before then because it was before Liam worked there. So I was probably 16 or 17, like when this went up. And I remember like the first thing I thought when I saw it was like, that's a dick with a vagina. Like, are they saying they fuck people, or what's the message here? I don't know what's happening.
Well,
so yeah, go on, brick dick.
Because I tend to, I think, see dicks everywhere, and it's maybe a problem, maybe not. A friend of ours in a group text while we were planning our trip, or my trip, their visit to Ypsilanti, sent a picture of themselves holding a big blow mold of a candle, like a holiday blow mold that you put out in your yard. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Those things. And at first, before I opened the picture and it was big on my phone, I thought it was a dick. And that's okay that you thought that, because it kind of looks that way. Then fast forward a couple days in the bar, and they had a little tray with little packages of things next to the cash register at the bar. It's a music venue also. When I first looked over at this container of things, they're skin colored and about this long. And I'm like, wow, they're giving out like party favors of little dicks. That's cute. That's kind of cool. Yeah. But then I realized they're fucking earplugs, because that's sensible and much okay. But then thankfully, once I got back to the table and I shared my experience with my friends, someone else also thought the same thing. So I was not the only one. Given he is gay, and not that that matters, but
a dick looks like a dick. That's that.
Yeah. Like those skin-colored little earplugs.
Absolutely can envision that, and probably would have thought, why is there a bowl of tiny dicks?
Exactly. But I wasn't asking questions. I was like, hey, that's awesome. Let's just do this.
That's just where you and I are different, because I would have asked. I would have seen that, and then I would have looked at the bartender and been like, why is there a bowl of dicks here?
and then you would have been like, fuck.
Yeah, and then they'd have to be like, ma'am, we may need to cut you off. That's not a bowl of dicks. Okay. I guess it depends on who's bartending.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, maybe someone would be like, oh, yeah. You know, it would have been so like, be perfect. I can like see this playing out in my brain. Like, I'm like, why is there a bowl of dicks here? And then the bartender would say something super witty and funny, and then we would fall in love.
Real complicated storyline there. Okay.
I'm just saying, that's how it starts.
Speaking of that bartender in particular, by the way, I love this place. It's called Ziggy's, downtown Ypsilanti. I have never, and tell me if you have, had a fountain beverage for squirt before. I don't think I've ever been anywhere, especially a bar, that has squirt coming out of their gun.
I don't think so.
I was so impressed by this. They
I
have,
will date. I've never ordered it or asked for it, so I wouldn't like really. But like now that I'm thinking about, like they're pretty standard, like
yeah, usually
Coke,
just
Diet
Coke,
Coke, Sprite,
Sprite.
Club
Yeah,
Soda,
yeah, yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. And they had cocktails with squirt in it. And so, you know, reasons to have it on your gun. But I was like, this is epic. So I tried to pay with a $100 bill. It was early in the night.
Mhm.
I was one of the first ones in once the doors open. And he did the typical, oh, I'm not sure I can break this right now. And I was like, are you sure? Do you want to really pay those credit card fees for one drink? And he said, good point. I'll be right back. And he went to the basement and checked and found some 20s and was able to break my $100 bill. And I felt like I did a good deed.
You did.
I was like, I just saved them 40 cents or whatever it's going to be.
Well, so how much was your drink?
I don't remember, but like less than
12,
10.
14. Okay. I was gonna guess 12 or 14 for like a cocktail. So that's like,
Maybe it was 10, but
so
yeah.
you probably saved them like 13 cents.
Okay. Still, in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah,
it's
those add up though. Like
real
if
fast.
every drink cost them an extra 13 cents, no.
I felt good. I patted myself on the back secretly. So back to Ipsy and its weirdness. We went to a restaurant called Crawdaddy's Creole. Definitely recommend. The first person that I told about it that I saw in person that day that wasn't going with us, they were like, "Oh, is this shellfish season in Ipsy?" And I was like, they could have some fresh crawdaddies from Michigan because they live here. But what the fuck? Thanks for making me realize that all of these things came in on a truck, but whatever. I'm not going. It was delicious. However, there was one human working there, probably owner, taking orders and cooking. I felt for that man. He was doing a good job and no one was getting cranky, which was amazing.
That's good.
And there was a person that ordered before us who said, do all of your dine-in orders first. I can go back and I'll just come back later and get my food. And I was like, that person is amazing. Good job. So we're sitting around eating our various choices, all of which were delicious. There's a table next to us with two old ladies and an older man. Kind of look like Cash, only like with longer hair. So bald, but long hair. If that makes sense. The hair that you have left on the sides is long.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the door opens and a man walks in. He looks like he's wearing a cloak, I will say. It might have been a regular hoodie or something, but it was baggy so that it kind of covered his face a little bit, and the sleeves might have been long, so it kind of created a cloaky vibe. Or
Okay.
he was wearing a cloak, not sure, because all of this happened
Can we just go
very
with
fast.
he was wearing a cloak?
We can say that.
I like it.
Who knows? Because I'm not even sure it was real. So this
Even better.
person walks into the door or floats, not sure. And without saying anything, just starts doing this kind of stuff, waving his arms in a very much looking like he's casting a spell.
That man was absolutely wearing a cloak.
Yeah, on the table next to us. The old people who just sat there, not sure what to do, and everyone at our table was like, don't engage, because there was a certain look to this person that told us they weren't goofing around. They were living their reality in that moment, right? They were most definitely on something and might not have a home to live in, who knows. And the person that was directly across the table from me, Scott, was the person closest to this wizard, we'll call him. And because he was trying not to engage and trying not to look, all of a sudden, the person just left without saying anything. He just did his little wizardry and then disappeared. And for Scott's perspective, who had just taken a gummy, he didn't know where he went. He's like, what's going on? And I was like, that didn't happen.
Just gaslighting your friend. Nah.
Like, nothing happened. Everything's fine. I was like, actually, he jumped into your ear and he's taking over your soul right now. Oh my God. It was just fantastic. I needed some weird shit like that to happen. And people are like, oh, that poor guy. I don't know. It seems like he was having a good time.
It seemed fine to me.
Yeah. Maybe his circumstances suck and he's just doing his best with what he has, which means he's high as fuck and he's just casting spells on people. It's totes fine. Whatever.
Totes fine.
Good for him. That's
funny. On Wednesday, I got maybe too high. Which it feels like a weird thing to say, but not important. So I had a fair amount of hippie calories in my gummies, and Liam had left. He went to Tony's, and he usually comes home like around 9 or 9:15, and I am sitting like in my back room and I'm looking at my watch and I'm like, oh, it's 9:03. Liam's gonna call soon, because he almost always calls me when he leaves Tony's to be like, hey, I'm headed home, do you need anything, want anything, blah blah blah. I was like, he's gonna call me and I'm gonna tell him that I want a Frosty and French fries from Wendy's. And I'm so excited, and I'm watching my watch. It's 9:06. He's gonna call any minute. And then he talks. Liam had been sitting behind me on the couch for 20. He had been home for 20 minutes. Scared the fucking piss out of me.
Oh my God.
I had no clue. He tells me, he's like, babe, we talked when I came in. We had a full conversation. And I'm like,
you were
absolutely
talking
not.
To
I have been
watching
my watch. I've been watching my watch for the last 3 minutes, waiting for you to call me and tell me. If you pull up the fucking video.
Oh my God.
Sure as shit. Full chat.
Oh
Came
my
in,
God.
hey babe, how's it going? I'm like, good, everything's great. And then I just went back to watching what I was watching, and then got excited waiting for him.
That's so funny.
It was literally right behind me.
That is so funny.
And then I was mad because
you didn't get your Frosty.
Oh, are you gonna get me a Frosty? He's like, no.
The fuck, man? This is not what I had planned.
I didn't know that today could get worse.
Right.
Here I am, Frostyless. Yeah.
Well,
that's how that day went. It was really magical. So then he, of course, texts all our friends. He's like, guys, I think Rae might be too high.
I would say that qualifies.
She dissociated so much from today that she did not realize I was sitting in the room with her less than a foot away.
As you were astral projecting hardcore.
For the record, I had already told our friends earlier in the day, I was like, when I get home tonight, I'm just gonna get real high and dissociate from the day. That's what I need. So I had already told them I was gonna do it. Mission
accomplished.
I went to a whole nother world. It was, I don't know what I did there. I
rode a unicorn or something.
Probably. I do know that when I came to, I was watching old episodes of NCIS. So that must have been what I was doing before I left. I don't know.
I'm watching my neighbor. I don't know what she's doing, actually. I think she's trying to pick up deer poop.
Why?
With a rake and a little sweeper
Maybe
thing.
just leave it?
But because they don't have a dog. So I don't understand why she's spot picking things up unless it's deer poop. Because they have deer in their yard all the time because they feed them.
Yeah, but why would you? Does she go out and roll around in the grass?
No.
You've never.
But if you have a lot of, I mean, deer poop, if you have a lot of it, especially in with the little piles that they end up in, there's a mound of little tiny poopsies. It can get gross after a while. So maybe they just don't want that going on over there. Who knows?
Well, maybe they shouldn't have built their house in that deer's toilet.
No kidding. Quit giving them food, they'll stop pooping in your yard. But
maybe they think that the deer are polite and know not to shit where you eat. I think she's overestimating the manners of this.
Or she's just trying to make sure that the environment that they've created for the deer remains pleasant. That they don't have to eat where they shit.
That is, if that woman has that amount of energy, I would like her to redirect it.
That's what retirement looks like, okay?
I'm gonna need her to spend her time doing something a little bit more productive, a little more constructive. Okay.
I have one more random memory from Ypsi that I want to share because it was just silly and funny. Because I was proud of myself for being funny, I think. I don't know. But
as you should be. I'm proud of myself every time I'm funny.
My friends and I were watching a concert, and Chris Bathgate, the person that was on one of our episodes, he plays an organ, a parlor organ.
Now?
Yes. And the organ is legitimately an antique. And he was having issues.
I said, how old is he?
How old is he? He's like,
yeah, you called 42? His organ an antique.
Oh my god. The instrument that he plays.
Nope, sorry, my brain's already in the toilet.
So the pedals, because it's a pump organ, right? You have to put air into it so that it makes sound. One of the pedals kept messing up during the show because it's really old, and one of the times that they had to stop the show because of that problem, as he was trying to fix it, my friend said, maybe someone can sing "I Lost My Soul," some song. I don't even know which song she was referencing, but I was like, no, he didn't lose his shoe. He lost the pedal to the organ. And she's like, oh, well, I was like, you can still kind of make the argument that would be a good choice for this moment. That's fine. And she just kept laughing at how dumb her suggestion was, but also whatever. And I was like, it's fine. No one else had any ideas. And for some reason, she was like, oh my God, thank you for saying that. That is so supportive. And I was like, I mean, I didn't hear anyone else say any other ideas. So, like, fucking let's go. Let's sing that song.
Problem solver.
Right. And then, like, unfortunately for him, it happened multiple times where he had to stop and try to fix this thing. And he said at one point, I think he actually said, I lost my left foot, and that he was going to play a song with only one foot. And she looked at me with valid concern. I'm like, he's still talking about the pedal. She's like, I swear to God, I thought he was talking about his foot. And I'm like, no, his foot is still there. I don't know what she was consuming.
Whatever it is, if she would like to share. Sounds like a good time.
But it was a really funny exchange that only her and I really had. No one else really witnessed it because it was loud, but we were laughing so hard over dumb shit like that.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah. That bar, though, highly recommend Ziggy's.
Okay.
I feel like I had a like Spirit Me help decorate the place. There's so many like random things that are glittery, and I love it.
Nice.
And there's really cool art too.
That sounds cool. Adventure time.
You didn't get to tell me about your trip.
It was fine.
Did anything funny happen? Anything awkward?
I made a lot. There was a Menards right by where we were staying. So naturally, every time we passed by, I would have to ask Atticus, hey, have you ever seen Menards? Or I would say, buddy, do you know what Menards smells like? And every time he'd be like, oh my God, shut up. So one time, Ivy, who we went to go see, is in the car with us when we passed by there. And it was later in the day, and I was taking them home. And so everyone's kind of tired. We've been busy all day doing stuff. And we get to Menards, and I said it quietly. I didn't even say it like on purpose out loud, but Atticus heard me. I made this joke to myself. I'm sitting in the front seat. They're sitting in the back seat. Both of them are in the back seat. And so like, I'm just driving, and I was like, have you ever seen Menards? Just literally said that shit to myself. And Atticus is like, Mom, fucking stop. And I was like, what? He's like, don't. And so then Ivy's like, wait, what happened? What? Because they did not hear me.
Mm-hmm.
And Atticus is like, don't encourage her. And I said, Ivy, have you ever seen Menards? And there's like, yeah, we just drove by it.
Oh, jeez.
And Atticus is like, and so I'm dying laughing. And then Atticus has to explain, no, my mom is making a joke about her nards. He says it so dramatically.
He's like, this dumbass. Not even funny.
Yeah. So that was hilarious for all of us. I loved it. Just so you know, on our drive home, we passed by 3 other Menards, like that you can like see from the highway. And so every time we got close, every time I would see one. And so finally there's one like just before Cadillac. Like when you're going up 131, there's one up there, and we passed by that one, and I make my stupid joke. And he's like, how many more of these do we have? I was like, that's the last Menards that we passed before we got home. He's like, thank fucking Christ. He was so glad to not hear me make that joke again. But I love it. It's so stupid and funny, and I love it.
It's good.
We did some shopping. We went swimming.
Where did you swim?
At our pool, the pool at our hotel.
Oh, duh. Okay. Sorry.
Which was super cute. It was on Sunday morning. We went over there at like 9, and we were playing Trash, a card game. It was me and Atticus, Ivy, and their dad was also playing with us. So they live with his granny. So dad's grandmother, and he is her caretaker.
Her caretaker?
Her caretaker. Her caretaker. On Sunday morning when we were back there, she was very loudly listening to Fox News.
Oh no.
And a sermon from a screaming woman.
Oh God.
So it was this woman, she is elderly. Her mental capacity is compromised. There's a reason that she needs a caretaker. And so she's like nutty, just a weird old lady. But yeah, so we listened to Fox News and got to enjoy her audibly cheering every time they mentioned Trump, which was And everybody at the table, every time this happens, all of us are like, no one at the table was into this scenario.
Right.
But apparently this is a Sunday ritual. And so it's a thing that they're all just kind of used to. Like, but it was good. Atticus had a really great time.
Good.
He turned 16 yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a lot. So, all in all, he was very thankful, very appreciative for taking him to do this thing instead of the thing that I thought would be cool.
New York. Ugh. So boring. Let's go to Illinois instead.
Yay. Rural Illinois, just for the record, guys. We're not talking Chicago. Okay. Right. The city that this family lives in, the population is 2,100. So I basically went to Illinois Grayling.
Right. I was watching a show. I think it's Steve Wilco or whatever. Those stupid, like everyone's fighting over who's baby daddy.
Steve. It's Jerry Springer's old Steve, who got his own show.
Yeah. A guy on there kept saying Illinois. And the woman that eventually ended up being his baby's mama, as the test results showed, lived in Michigan. And he kept saying, and I would go down to Michigan. And I'm like, fucking Christ on a cracker.
You go up to Michigan, bro.
Please look at a map. Please look at a map. And also know that your state is not Illinois. But okay. Here we go. That's
beautiful.
Special. Okay, I think maybe I was too high on Sunday because I realized I had a moment where I was opening my gifts that my friends got me. So in this bag of miscellaneous things that are all Chihuahua related, for obvious reasons, I love my dog, I pull this out. It's a little bag, nice. And then in it is a box. And it says things. And so I read it. Always remember you're braver than you believe, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. And I thanked them and I put it down and moved on with my life. And 5 minutes later, my friend's like, open the box. I'm like, what? I'm like, it doesn't even sound like there's anything in here. And so I open it and there's a little necklace in here. But I seriously thought they just got me a cute box.
Keep your prescription drugs in? I
said, this would be great.
Little mini joints. Oh,
keep my gummies in it. And to motivate me and help me feel supported anytime I need it. That's what I thought the gift was. But turns out it was a necklace.
It's cute.
I just felt real stupid in that moment, but whatever.
So quick update. Did I tell you that we are finally out of vegetable soup? The last of vegetable soup has been the weed from your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She still has more.
Well, so I just wanted to tell you a quick story about it. Like how I smoked a lot of that weed. Okay. So much. And so we were down to not much left. Probably 2 or 3 joints worth of weed. Comparatively, not that much.
Right.
Considering where we started.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was taking one of Sis's friends home, and I know that her parents are stoners. And so I was like, feels right to pass on some of this vegetable soup. I tell him, I need to get, and I have baggie. I was like, I need to give this to them when we get there. He's like, no. I was like, what do you mean? No, he's like, you can't just give people weed. I was like, nah, I'm pretty sure I can. Like, I think that's a super fine idea. Why would I not? I'm not selling it to them. I just think they will enjoy it. And I have had so much of this that I might vomit if I have any more. Liam's like, I've had a lot of that. Like, Yeah. So Liam's like, you can't though. You don't just give people weed. That's not. I was like, they're stoners. For sure, this is fine. He's like, no, babe. So Clype's friend who's in the back, she's like, oh no, I already texted my mom about it. She said it's fine. And so then Liam's looking at me, he's like, did you just have a child talk to their parent about marijuana from someone else? And I was like, I did not ask her or tell her to say anything.
Self.
I just said, your parents are stoners, right? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, cool. That was our whole conversation. She did that. That wasn't me. So then Liam finally decided that because they knew about it, it was okay for me to give them the weed. But if I had just showed up to their house and walked to the door with it, I wasn't going to give it to this girl to take in. I was going to do it myself. I will get out of the car. I drew the line at having a 16-year-old deliver drugs.
Right.
I'm not a savage. So, not a monster. So then I was like, I was going to get out of the car. So he decides that is acceptable because they knew before. But if they had not known, it would not be okay for me to just walk up to their door and give them marijuana.
That is.
I was like, no, that seems super nice. That seems like classic stoner shit.
Yeah.
That feels normal to me.
You know, during the pandemic, how a bunch of basic white bitches started doing
like
the wine
fairy things. Yeah.
Yeah. Why can't we do that with weed?
Yeah, it's legal. We're giving it to another adult.
We're improving lives.
Yeah.
We are doing the Lord's work.
Just out here taking care of people.
It's
they were very thankful. But according to Liam,
who's always pooping on parties.
Right?
So whatever, fucking Liam, you're party pooping.
Yeah.
My child last night when I got home from being away for 4 nights.
No,
I don't remember how this happened or what led to it, but he's been saying, his whole life at this point since he started speaking, butthole has been one of his favorite words. And last night he was saying antique buttholes and and then for some reason I had recently read a friend of mine post a status on Facebook that says one of the great things about having kids is that you never have to wonder if you have bad breath.
They will tell you immediately.
Yes. And Trevor's like, oh my God, the other day Calvin told me that I have bad breath while we were at the museum. And I was like, see, case in point. And I was like, your breath probably smells like the basement of the Harsha House Museum because that just, it seems a little dank and a little gross. And I was like, your breath probably smells like antique buttholes. And Calvin and I were laughing so hard.
That's
and
so beautiful.
I was really happy to be home.
I'm going to put that into my repertoire of insults. You
Why
smell
not?
like an antique butthole.
I mean, that's not good in any interpretation.
No.
So,
no.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, an old crusty butthole. That's what you smell. That's what you smell like. That's beautiful. I'm glad you're home too, so that you could have that experience, and I can put it in my pocket for later.
Yay!
All right, I gotta throw actual pants on. I have my PJ pants, but I can't go into the school.
I feel like you always say that. You say, I have to go put pants on, and then you have to tell everyone that you're not just sitting there naked, half naked anyway. You're not Winnie the Poohing life.
It's Donald Ducking.
Well, no, to me it's Winnie the Pooh because he's just cooler. I don't know.
He is cuter.
He's cuter. He's like pudgy and he rolls around.
I do have more of a Winnie the Pooh body than I do a Donald Duck body. Okay.
We still haven't had her and her very serious infant on the show, Brian.
Yes.
So, and Dee currently is on her way to
Kentucky.
Yeah, to be in a cabin in the woods with a person she's never met before. So she's going to get murdered. Have your scarves ready.
I was about to say, I actually already pulled 2 scarves off
Good.
off the hook for this week. Because I'm obviously going to need to have one on when I find out that she's been murdered.
Yeah.
So we'll see what day it is.
We were going over her list of Spanish words that she knows, which is like less than 20, because the person she's going to go see is actually from Mexico. And
gotta see him before he gets deported.
Yeah.
We just elected an orange felon to run our country. There's no rules anymore.
No.
I've started pronouncing the L in salmon.
I did something the other day that by societal norms is not okay. And someone was like, oh my God. I'm like, what the fuck does it matter anymore? It doesn't matter anymore. We're living in a lawless land.
Yeah, I wrote a note on the council. I put the schedule on and wrote November at the top and then couldn't even bring myself to fill the rest of it in. So it just says everything is fucked and stupid. So who even cares?
Yeah.
So then Liam went in there and wrote I do and then encouraged me to be an adult. And I was like,
pooping on parties again. I'm just joking.
This fucking guy.
You're in your pity party era and he's pooping all over it.
And just like, give me 5 days.
Yeah.
I mean, we are on day 7 now, but I'm better today.
Yeah, it's not because of what he wrote on that either. It's not because of that. So thanks for your contribution, sir. So on the list of Spanish words that Dee was trying to write, as I was leaving, she's like, will you text us when you get home? And I was like, see. She's like, oh, that's another word I can add to my So I was like, it wasn't already on there.
What?
So that tells you how good this is going to be. I can't wait to hear the story of her demise, I guess.
I am also actually looking forward to this. I did a little marathon listen of some 48 hours yesterday in preparation.
Ooh, you're ready.
I am.
For your interview.
Yep. Yeah, we haven't really known each other a long time or very well, but she was a very fun lady, and she didn't deserve this, whatever it is.
She was out doing the Lord's work, spreading Harry Potter to the youth,
the
Gen Zers of the world.
Yes, just helping us out, doing her part.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
You really do have to go, though, because of things.
Yeah, I need to leave the house in the next 3 minutes. I have to pee.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
I
love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bang, bang. Goes the Cougar Magnum.
If you like this episode, please remember to subscribe to our podcast and head to doublechinswagon.com to learn how you can email or call our hotline to share your thoughts on our recent discussions. We love to interact with you and are always looking for guests as well. Thanks so much for listening. Now go and live your best life today.